Georgia. A uniquely beautiful country between the craggy mountains of the Caucasus and the raging waves of the Black Sea. It is a paradise on earth with centuries-old castles, mouth-watering flavors, crazy beaches, and friendly people who make you feel at home. Located just south of Russia and north of Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Turkey, Georgia lies at the heart of the Caucasus, the cradle of countless civilizations throughout history. Its area is 69,700 square kilometers, and its population is around 4 million. Its capital is Tbilisi, and its native language is Sakartvelo. The roots of the Georgian people go back to ancient kingdoms such as ancient Iberia and Colchis. Throughout history, they have been under the rule of many states, from Rome to Persia, from the Arabs to the Ottomans, and finally to the Soviets. But they have managed to preserve their culture with stubbornness and honor. So much so that UNESCO considers the country's island language, Sakartvelo, worthy of protection. But is Georgia really a country worth living in? What will be the standard of living in 2025? That is the real question. Let's discover it together. But first, please subscribe to my channel and like the videos, because I am working on my own, and I would be very happy if you give me something for my efforts. Now let's get started. If your goal is to settle in Georgia, I strongly recommend that you learn at least basic Russian or Georgian, because many taxi drivers are old and do not speak English. On the other hand, in government offices, hospitals, or official paperwork, these languages are mostly used. But don't worry, in city centers such as Tbilisi, Batumi, and Katowice, English is often used due to the high density of young people. If you are planning a short trip, you don't need to worry because the country is full of tourists. You can see this by the fact that almost every street sign is in English. So even if you don't use Google Maps or Translate, you won't get lost. Don't worry. Georgians usually have distinct facial features. Men stand out with their prominent cheekbones, sharp chins, and especially their prominent noses. The reason for the nose is that they share almost the same culture with the people living in the Black Sea region of Turkey. In the ethnic structure of Georgia, communities from the historical Laza Kingdom have formed a cultural bridge starting from Artvin and extending to Batumi. Meanwhile, there are more than 300,000 Russians and Ukrainians in the country. This is due to the Russian-Ukrainian war that started in 2022 and is still ongoing. But the Georgian people are not happy about these migrations. That's why almost every evening there are demonstrations, especially anti-Russian ones, in Freedom Square in the heart of Tbilisi. Of course, the target is only Russians. Georgia is in solidarity with Ukraine in terms of European integration. This attitude of Georgians is usually against Russians. However, they are warm and friendly towards those who bring foreign currency, start businesses, or make cultural contributions. Although different claims are made on social media or in individual cases, it would be wrong to label Georgians as racist. The locals are extremely hospitable and helpful. You can see this immediately by the positive attitude on their faces. When you walk down the street, you will often encounter people smiling at you or trying to help you. If you visit Georgia, especially during the summer months, you will definitely see the friendliness I mentioned in the young people dancing the Caucasian dance in the central squares of Tbilisi. Because it is not just a dance, but a sincere reflection of social solidarity, historical heritage, and national pride. When they take to the stage, you feel as if they are not dancing, but calling for war. By the way, while traveling around the city, you may often encounter people from Asian countries such as India, Bangladesh, and the Philippines. Do not mistake them for tourists. Most of them migrate to Georgia to work or study. One of the biggest reasons for this is that Georgia is a more affordable destination compared to other countries in the region. The currency in the country is known as lari, or GEL for short. At the current exchange rate, $1 is equivalent to approximately 3 lari. But the interesting thing is that the minimum wage in the country is not officially set. Most people work on an hourly or contractual basis. Recent studies show that the average Georgian earns between 2,000 and 3,000 lari per month, which is around 750 to 900 euros. Although these figures are low by European standards and by your standards, they are sufficient for the high purchasing power in Georgia. Moreover, the country is very rich in agriculture. This means that the freshest fruits and vegetables reach people's tables at affordable prices. Walking around the capital Tbilisi, you will often see German-made Mercedes cars. On the other hand, the Japanese giant Toyota and the more luxurious Lexus are also quite common. Interestingly, both right and left-hand drive vehicles are allowed in the city. However, since right-hand drive vehicles are usually older models, you will mostly see left-hand drive ones. By the way, speaking of vehicles, I would like to warn you about taxis. First of all, taxis in Georgia are usually white in color, and there is no taximeter in them. So if you are going somewhere, make sure you agree on the price with the driver before you set off. In fact, to do this easily, show your destination on your phone. This way, you can agree immediately. For short distances within the city, 20 lari, i.e. 6 euros, and for long distances such as the airport, 40 lari, i.e. 15 euros, is usually enough. The country's economy is largely shaped by tourism and, of course, gambling taxes. The low tax rates, especially in Batumi and Tbilisi, ensure that many casinos are active. For example, while a gambler pays 30% tax in other countries, this number drops to 10 to 15% in Georgia. This means a steady flow of foreign capital into the country. The capital Tbilisi offers unique discoveries both by land and by water. The Peace Bridge over the Kura River, for example, will immediately impress you with its architecture, local vendors, and unique musicians. You can enjoy the view of the city with boat tours organized for about 25 lari, 8 euros. Or, for 1 euro, you can take the cable cars that run on both sides of the river and see the entire landscape from the sky. After this unique experience, be sure to see the Angel Clock, perhaps one of the most fascinating symbols of the city. Constructed in 2010 by a puppet master, this clock will enchant you with its bell ringing every hour, activating a small angel figure. The streets of the city have a unique architecture. When you see a building decorated with Soviet architecture or cobblestone streets, you will inevitably smile. The atmosphere offered by the cafes on the streets is different. Some smoke, some drink, some chat with friends, some spend quality time reading a book. Especially in the evening, these cafes turn into a festival area with different types of music and energetic crowds. But the real festival starts at midnight, when elegant and sexy girls and elegantly dressed men get caught up in the rhythm of the music. Tbilisi nights turn into a unique party. And you don't necessarily need to enter a venue for this. Almost every street is a live stage. You can watch a fashion show of beautiful girls every minute. Georgian girls are so beautiful and attractive that you will not be able to stop looking at them. Anyway, let's move on from these lively nights of Tbilisi to living standards. On almost every street, market or roadside in the country, you can see people over the age of 50 trying to sell their labor. This silently tells us that the elderly in the country have to work even when they retire. The cost of living in Tbilisi is quite high. For example, the monthly rent for an average apartment in the capital is around $700. That is quite high compared to the Georgian economy. The biggest reason for this is, of course, the massive immigration to Tbilisi in recent years. Slavs have settled all over the city, upsetting the supply-demand balance and making it difficult for locals to live in affordable housing. But of course, there are also good sides to this massive migration. The beauty and aesthetics of Slavic women have turned the streets of Tbilisi into a unique fashion show. Russian and Ukrainian girls' remarkable outfits, unique aesthetics, fair skin, and incredible charm add to the atmosphere of the city. Moreover, these girls are willing to chat with you even if you are not rich or don't have a luxury car. That's how friendly they are. By the way, speaking of cars, you are very lucky if you are going to buy a car in Georgia. Although second-hand cars are more common, You can buy a new model car that can be considered luxury for around $20,000. You do not need to think about fuel, because gasoline prices in Tbilisi are lower than in many European countries. In conclusion, Tbilisi is both a vibrant and a city full of contradictions. Although living conditions are often challenging, the streets are full of unique beauty. People never stop smiling despite some of the difficulties they face. I think Georgia is a place that should not only be seen, but also felt. I would be very happy if you subscribe to my channel. See you soon.